Welcome to my channel Buzz. What if I told you that one of the most well-known faces on television is currently battling for his life in a maximum security jail cell? The man who taught America about historical relics and pawnshop economics is now studying a new form of survival, one in which celebrity is a death sentence rather than a benefit. I'm sharing with you today the little-known tale of RickHarrison's precipitous decline from Pawn star popularity to prison notoriety and the son who put everything on the line to reveal the truth. RickHarrison was a household name after ruling the Las Vegas pawnshop empire. Millions of people were entertained by his clever bargaining and historical expertise. However, someone wants to kill the reality TV star who is currently serving a life term at Black Ridge Correctional Facility. RickHarrison was discovered bleeding from multiple stab wounds in his cell only a few weeks earlier. The assault wasn't a haphazard altercation that happened in the prison yard. This was a planned effort to permanently quiet him. Conveniently, the prison cameras are not working. There are no guards in sight. Perhaps the most startling turn in this sinister tale comes from Rick's own blood, but this was an inside operation planned by those who are afraid of what Rick would disclose. Once his father's reliable right-hand man on Pawn Stars, RickHarrison has now gone into witness protection in order to reveal the truth about his father's criminal organization, a son betraying his father. However, what would have caused Corey to reach this breaking point? We're delving deeply into the perilous world of RickHarrison's covert operations behind the scenes of his well-known pawn shop today, his current, life-threatening predicament in prison, and the explosive testimony his son is ready to give that has the potential to topple a whole criminal organization. RickHarrison was a straight-talking, history-loving businessman with an eye for authenticity and value who captured the hearts of America through television. Pop culture adopted his saying, "You never know what's going through that door." Viewers were unaware of how prophetic those statements would turn out to be. The man supposedly running one of the most sophisticated criminal businesses in Las Vegas was behind the expertly edited video and seductive demeanor. According to federal authorities, the gold and silver pawn store was the ideal front for a money laundering and human trafficking scheme. The ideal cover was also given by the same cameras that made Rick famous. Who would suspect illicit activity at a company that is continuously filmed for national television? Authorities started their covert investigation into Rick's criminal network by tracking a series of dubious transactions that went straight to the back office of the pawn shop. Even seasoned investigators were taken aback by what they found, which included well-maintained records of millions of dollars in cash that had been laundered, coded messages concerning goods that mentioned people, and a network of relationships that reached into organized crime groups in several states. Rick's proficiency in assessing an item's worth and genuineness wasn't merely for show. According to law authorities, he used these same abilities in his illegal organization to build a sophisticated system that went unnoticed for years, despite operating in plain sight on national television. The evidence was overwhelming when federal officials eventually arrived. Secret meetings with known criminals were captured on security footage from parts of the store that were never broadcast on television. Cash flows in financial documents were inexplicable. Testimonies from former workers regarding odd late-night deliveries and directives to keep specific transactions off the books surfaced. The celebrity who formerly instructed Americans on historical items received a life sentence, a precipitous decline in popularity that astounded even the most seasoned Las Vegas watchers. However, Rick had immediate issues after being incarcerated as a celebrity. Some prisoners wanted to be friends with him so they could enjoy his reflected fame, but others hated him for everything. Rich, privileged, and maybe able to purchase preferential treatment. Rick was only 3 months into his sentence when the incident that almost killed him occurred. Prison authorities claimed that an anonymous assailant ambushed Rick with a makeshift weapon as he was making his way back from the shower block. The attack's accuracy indicated expert training, with each stab targeted at critical organs. Without a guard's regular patrol passing by, RickHarrison probably wouldn't have made it out alive. Rumors regarding who ordered the attack started to circulate after Rick's recovery in the prison hospital. Others cited rival gangs hoping to gain notoriety by eliminating a well-known prisoner. Others murmured that Rick's former crime partners were worried he may work with the authorities to get his sentence lowered. The segregated housing unit in which Rick is being held is what makes his circumstances especially risky. This isolation, which was first intended to shield well-known prisoners, has instead left him more susceptible. With less camera coverage and fewer eyewitnesses, Rick discovers that anyone with the correct connections and drive can enter his ideal killing zone. Rick has often asked for more protection, but jail officials have mostly rejected his worries. RickHarrison's life is in jeopardy every day he spends behind those walls, regardless of whether this carelessness is due to a lack of concern for the well-being of the inmate or something darker. The most dramatic turn of events in this unfolding tale occurred when a former Pawn star and Corey Harrison, Rick's son, called federal officials. Following months of internal conflict between his conscience and family devotion, Corey finally made the painful decision to tell everyone he knew about his father's illegal actions. Corey disclosed the startling scope of the operation in a number of interviews conducted behind closed doors. Sources familiar with the inquiry said that Corey explained how the pawn shop was only one node in a complicated network. He explained how some expensive goods coming into the store were utilized to pay off debts or launder money inside the criminal organization rather than simply being bought and resold. Perhaps most concerningly, Corey purportedly verified rumors that victims of human trafficking were occasionally transported via properties associated with the Harrison family's commercial enterprise. These weren't only sporadic criminal relationships. This was a strategic long-term endeavor that took use of the television program's notoriety and credibility. Corey's testimony exemplifies unfathomable personal sacrifice as well as incredible bravery. He broke up family relations and put himself in grave danger by coming forward. Federal marshals put him into witness protection right away, changing his identity and moving him far from Las Vegas, where his previous life, celebrity, riches, and family company had all been sacrificed for the sake of justice. Corey, reportedly, broke down in an extremely tearful interview when discussing his father's plans for him while incarcerated. According to these reports, Rick had originally intended to assist authorities in the hopes that his notoriety would shield him and possibly result in a less sentence. He sought to identify co-conspirators, expose their identities, and expose the entire scope of the operation. Word of these plans somehow made its way into the prison system, making Rick the immediate target. The stabbing wasn't an isolated incident. Rather, it was a cruel warning to remain silent. And now that Rick is getting better, he might be reevaluating his options. To guarantee his unwavering silence, the same criminal elements become more and more desperate. According to prison insiders, Rick's everyday life is a psychological nightmare. Under his meal tray there are notes with subliminal threats. As he walks by, other prisoners murmur his name. Sometimes, before letting him pass, guards neglect to inspect specific places. Rick must constantly be on guard because of the ongoing psychological battle that exacerbates the physical threat. This case's legal ramifications go much beyond Rick Harrison. Investigators are discovering links to other companies, politicians, and even law enforcement officers who might have been compromised by the criminal network as they follow the evidence. Trail supplied by Corey's testimony. Millions of dollars worth of assets have already been seized as a result of search warrants issued in several states. Bank accounts have been frozen, homes have been seized, and more suspects have been found. What started as a celebrity pawnbroker investigation has grown into one of the biggest organized crime investigations in recent Las Vegas history. This story serves as a startling reminder to the general public of the disconnect between reality on television and reality in real life. It was stated that the gregarious, intelligent businessman who accessed millions of households via television screens was running an enormously large-scale criminal activity in front of their very eyes. The pawnshop transactions that appear to be so open and truthful on camera may have been done for a much darker reason. Every week, more startling information comes to light as the inquiry progresses. Authorities are now receiving information from former Harrison family associates in exchange for leniency. Experts in finance are rebuilding the money trails that lead to shell corporations and offshore accounts. Meanwhile, Rick Harrison, a marked man, waits for the next attempt on his life in his prison cell. This is by no means the end of the story. The complete truth about the Pawn Stars enterprise will come to light as Corey's testimony progresses into ultimate public court procedures. For Rick Harrison, every day presents a new threat as people who are afraid of being seen become more desperate. Lives have been lost, money has been lost, and reputations have been damaged. This terrible fall reflects a betrayal of public trust. For those who watched Pawn Stars faithfully, taking in Rick's lessons about history and bargaining. Even in this darkness, there is a ray of hope because of Corey's bravery. The man who educated them about authenticity was supposedly leading the ultimate counterfeit life. The specialist in identifying fakes was possibly the biggest of all. RickHarrison shows that even people born into criminal organizations can choose a different route by putting the truth above family loyalty and risking everything to expose wrongdoing. By exposing the threats against Rick, his testimony could not only help the victims receive justice, but also perhaps save his father's life. As we keep reporting on this evolving story, I'll provide you with exclusive information about Rick's prison status, fresh findings from the ongoing inquiry, and the significance of Corey's testimony. This story serves as a sobering reminder that the most alluring characters can occasionally conceal the most sinister truths, and that we should be skeptical of reality television. Before you leave, consider this. What more secrets might be concealed on your TV screen if RickHarrison was able to establish a criminal empire while cameras followed his every move? Which of your favorite celebrities could be living two lives behind their well-manicured public personas? It's possible that the distinction between deceit and amusement is less clear than we all think. To keep informed about this ongoing case, click the subscribe button and notification bell if you found this investigation to be revealing. Post your opinions in the space provided below. Did you have any suspicions about the Pawn Stars organization, or were these disclosures a complete surprise to you? Your assistance enables us to keep revealing tales that influential people would like not to be known. Until the next time, keep in mind that truth is more valuable than money or silver.